What is going on YouTube? Hayden back making another brand new Crypto TV episode. In today's video, we're going to be looking at Litecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, as well as XRP to USD. We'll also be looking at the current coin market cap, as well as a very interesting article. Massive 1 billion Bitcoin whale transaction makes waves. So I do want to discuss that article as well. That's on CoinDesk. But that we also have to discuss what exactly is going on within the market right now. I think this is a really big and quite interesting thing. Quite early today, but otherwise, I think the market are kind of going in a very interesting transaction and a kind of interesting method in terms of where it's headed for the rest of today and tomorrow. In regards to that, I'm talking about the fact that we're starting to see some consolidation back down to lower levels after pretty much getting a ton of volume yesterday. We're starting to see coins start to settle back off, but now we're starting to see them bounce upwards. I know this sounds like I'm all over the place, but as we go into the episode, we're going to focus in on some key specific things and really crack down on where exactly we're headed up, and is a Bitcoin burst or a Bitcoin major move actually possible in the next couple of weeks. Otherwise, guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications, leave a giant thumbs up, and let's jump right into today's video. Alright, so before I begin, I have a CoinDesk article pulled up. Just some cool talking I want to do before we jump into the charting. So as you guys can see, massive billion-dollar Bitcoin whale transaction makes waves. So I was kind of reading off on this, looking at this, but I feel like this is the most important thing to discuss because I find this quite wild. It's more of the fact that, like, if you think about things in long term, or if you think of things a little bit farther back, these are all Bitcoin transactions, so they literally traced, or somebody, I don't even know how the technology's there, and if you guys do know, please feel free to share. But this all got traced back to one Bitcoin address, which obviously is pretty wild, and it kind of tells you that Bitcoin can be tracked or traced. I know there are some other cryptocurrencies that can't, but obviously this doesn't have a name to it. But if this does get, leaked in terms of who actually owns this, then people can pinpoint what your transactions are. So they started to find an address. They then found the money that was sent. They then got divvied into two accounts, and you can see this one account was then spread out to all these different ones and eventually into different addresses over here. This is Huawei is an exchange. You can see these are all the addresses here. But the fact that they were able to track and trace each one of them, I believe the green is the money and this is the exchange, or say the blue is the money and these colors, orange and the yellow or the tan, are the exchanges and the addresses, sorry. So the fact that they are able to track and trace each one of these is quite wild. I know it's public ledger. I know it's all opened up, but the fact that they can actually really show you this in a more macro look is pretty wild to see that we can actually trace crypto and where it started from. And like I said, obviously this is just a bunch of numbers and letters, and it doesn't actually give up somebody's name. But if people do find out whose address this is, if that person comes out with the name or somehow they find out the person who owns this, they can then pretty much monitor everything that you're sending and receiving. So you have to be a little careful with Bitcoin. I thought that was quite interesting to share. Obviously, if you guys have any news on this, definitely let me know, but I just find it quite wild. And the fact that this exchange has $1 billion in Bitcoin is also mind-blowing to me. Otherwise, to jump into the articles and the chartings, you can see on on the charts, coin market cap, Bitcoin down 4% today. Still above 10,000, 10,400. You'll notice that Bitcoin dominance is 70.7. We are starting to see a little more volume. We did kind of see this resistance and this depreciation yesterday, which was quite interesting. We're recovering quite well, which is also odd, and I want to discuss. But you can see markets are down about, I'd say 3%. Everything is practically down, not really much in green. The ones that are in green aren't really up by much. Kind of hanging on by a thread, except for Cosmos, which is up by practically 10%, quite wild. The majority of these cryptos are down, and I want to then jump into the markets and kind of see what exactly is happening. So what's quite wild is the fact that we did trace and discuss a massive ascending triangle on Bitcoin yesterday. We did discuss this. We saw this major, yellow or orange uptrend with a resistance up top at around 12,970, 12,900, and you can see we did play quite well into that. You can see the price is pretty much just mirroring inside of here, bouncing along. nicely though. What I'm noticing though is the fact that we did manage to break out of it, which I was very shocked yesterday to see a major resistance, a major pull. You can see we literally topped off at almost $11,000, followed by a major pull all the way back down to 10,300. Quite wild. It happened very quickly, so very shocked in that regard. We did immediately start to head up today, so I am still comfortable with where we are. Obviously, I'd really appreciate to see the coin get back inside. That would be ideal. But the way things are going, I don't think I have any worry. I think the coins are still going to head back up. And I do believe that we will continue to trade inside of here. And we will see these higher prices. I know it is getting kind of, slow. But you can see we did have a major pull, $9,400 all the way to almost $11,000. So about an $800 jump. And we are starting to consolidate back up. We broke that higher low and we broke the lower high. And now it looks like we're starting to hang out and consider trading inside of this triangle right here. So we do look pretty good all in all. Now moving on to Litecoin. Litecoin has been an interesting one. Litecoin has this major downward wedge right here that has been putting tons of resistance on the price, not being able to break outside of this uptrend, or sorry, this downtrend with this resistance up top. We're finally seeing some action right now, and I want to highlight this as I zoom in. You'll notice we are starting to break outside of here. Volume is starting to come in. The price is starting to head up. We broke through our resistance at $67. You can see we are almost at $68, but the fact that we're finally above this downtrend is huge. Obviously not as important because you can see we've had previous days where we've shot up to extremely high levels, but unfortunately wicked back down and closed the candle lower. So we're really looking right now for a pretty much confirmation that we can close the candle above here. If we manage to close a candle outside of the downtrend, that's pretty much inferencing or referencing that we can start to head up higher, that has been broken. So that's merely what we're looking for, is a confirmation right now. We look good. It looks like we're finding the bottom. I really can't see us going much lower. I know a lot of people can consider that and are very bearish on this, but we are extremely undervalued, and every single time we are below our high-low mid moving average, it's almost a matter of time before we inevitably shoot up. So for those of you who are very worried with the coin or with crypto, these are great prices. These are undervalued, and I feel like a lot of people don't realize that. People buy in when they start to see the coin up, when they start to see the coin above the high-low MMA, when we're up to 123, we have a great run. They start to see, wow, well, if we went to 123, maybe we'll go to 140. So they buy in, while we're in the middle of a run, and then they end up, not selling out. And maybe we'll actually reach 140. Maybe they bought in at 120, we reach 140, but they end up falling all the way back down to 90, and then they lose money. So that's why it's actually smarter to be buying at these lower levels. When everybody is, hating on the crypto, not involved in it, when we're undervalued like this, it's a great opportunity to take advantage of this, because we inevitably will go up much higher and you'll be able to make much more profit. That's kind of what I'm saying, and it hasn't failed me yet, so that's just an option. I kind of want to show you guys potentially a reference. Pretty much every time we've seen consolidation, people like to buy in at 76 right here. They shoot up, they don't sell off, and then they fall lower. And then they end up selling off because they're afraid to take profits and they don't want to go lower. We've seen other runs here. It looks like we're coming back down to the bottom of this. Just let's look at the weekly real quick. Weekly looks like we're pretty much, we're almost at the bottom on the weekly. We're about 41 on the RSI. It gives us room to go lower, obviously. Let's just extend this or make this a little smaller. You can see there's possibility of us going lower. We seem to have hit a support right here. Obviously, we're now trading outside of the high-low minimum moving average, but I think we look all right. I really don't think we look that bad for Litecoin and Bitcoin. Does not load. There we go. So I really don't think the coins look that bad. I'd be very shocked if we end up going into oversold on Litecoin's weekly. That would be very interesting to see a crazy bear market that would really indicate much lower levels. Otherwise, Ethereum looks okay, still just trending on its red downtrend right here, not really getting enough support to break up, but I just see all these coins being undervalued and almost couple more day or weeks and we should be up to much higher levels. I think we are extremely undervalued on all these cryptocurrencies. XRP2, I know we said we're going to talk about a different coin, so let's do Ethereum Classic to USD because we have not yet switched it up. So why Ethereum Classic, you might be asking? Ethereum Classic to me seems like a coin that has been doing quite well on markets that have been doing very poorly. Ethereum Classic seems to be the one that's doing the exact opposite almost. So I want to draw out some supports, some resistances. There we go. We have our uptrend. You'll notice Ethereum Classic might be a crypto to get involved in. Due to the fact that, you know, in this bear market, in the coins falling to lower levels, Ethereum Classic has been doing the exact opposite. It has been climbing this uptrend, heading up to much higher levels. Unfortunately, I don't know why these all came out to be the same color. Let's try that again. Let's do purple. There we go. Let's delete these. Bam, bam. Add these back in, one here, and then one right around. Let's do right there. So you can see we're in an uptrend. Ever since, you know, Bitcoin, we can look at Bitcoin or Litecoin. Litecoin's been falling this entire time. Ethereum Classic has been, you know, extremely bullish the past couple of weeks. Ever since December of 2018, we've literally been in a major uptrend. Seeing some very nice plays right here. You can see beautiful uptrend right here, and I think we're going to continue to head up. It almost makes sense. Battling the high-low MMA, but we are heading higher. So I think this is a great coin, and I wanted to share this with you. Otherwise, guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications, leave a giant thumbs up, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Peace.